Well, I have 7 o'clock. I will call the meeting to order. Pledge allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Here. Mason Jeff? Here. Watson?
Here.
Bird here. Kuzo? Here. Swanson?
Here.
Jost? Here. First, I make a motion to approve the regular board meeting minutes from November 14th, 2019. I'll second. Any questions, corrections? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes from November 14th, 2019, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next, I will make a motion to approve the executive session minutes from November 14th, 2019.
Second.
Peter?
Yes.
Any questions, corrections? Comments?
All those in favor of approving the executive session minutes from November 14th, 2019, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
So there's a change into the agenda. I am going to move, because we're looking at new business, introduction to Chad Camillo. We're going to move that to now. The Chad's had a long day, and I'm sure you'd like to go home. So, so this is Chad Camillo again.
Yes, hello, Chad Camillo. I am the Marketing Engagement Coordinator. As you all know, that's the new position here at the library. Previously, since I was hired in 2015, I was an adult services librarian, so you probably saw me on one of the info desks answering questions there. But over the last couple months or earlier in the year is when I first entered in this new role, and sort of a dual role while also doing my adult services duties, primarily to be the project manager for the library or the website redesign and calendar as well. So that was sort of my main project up until recently, but now that I'm fully transitioned into this new role and new department, I wanted to come introduce myself in person just so you all can connect the name with the face and the role. And also just so I could share a little bit about what we've been working on as a new department, what we're kind of looking forward to doing next year, and then also happy to take any questions you have, and then also want to just encourage you all to, if you do have any sort of ideas related to my role, either communicating with me or through Pam. I'm really open to that. I really want that to be a priority. So in terms of what we've been doing recently, once the website and calendar launched, that was a big project that I think was quite successful. It seems to have been gone off pretty well, so that's nice. But now that we have that kind of rolling, there's other things that we're looking to develop. Part of my role, I guess the engagement portion, touches on doing more internal staff engagement, both sort of as a finding opportunities for staff training and professional development, but also sort of the staff morale and kind of the more fun things, I guess. There hasn't been a sort of dedicated role for that in the past, so I'm excited to be able to do more with that, whether it is through things like the staff days that we have throughout the year, or just kind of little things here and there. I just wanted to be able to break down some of the barriers between the departments that can naturally arise, given that the floors that separate specifically adult services and youth services. I think there's opportunities to find ways of bringing staff together in different ways and getting to know each other a little better. So that's one thing I'm looking forward to doing moving forward. I've also been running the social media for several years now, so I'll continue to do that. running basically the content on the website, including our new blog. And then we also have a really nice staff recommendations feature. I don't know if you all have checked that out. I think that's a really great tool. And I'm really excited to expand and work with the librarians to do more with that, because I think it'll be a really great reader's advisory tool and something that really showcases the staff expertise. So things like on the website and calendar, and then also developing our new intranet, having since migrated to Office 365, that's given us a lot of new tools that are a big enhancement from what we previously had. So that's been very nice, and again, I think will really help for making staff much more cohesive and being able to communicate much better. Also, the department as a whole, the marketing engagement department will consist of me and then the 2 graphic designers on staff, one of which has been in adult services and then another has been in youth services. So again, we won't be in one same space just quite yet. I think that's in the works. But we have been meeting regularly for a while now, just to try to get on the same page and create a sort of joint workflow where there wasn't one before. So there'll be lots of great opportunities to come from that, I think, and then just working with the rest of the staff to figure out how we can do that in a way that helps everyone. Having 2 great, talented graphic designers on staff is a rarity. So I think it's really great that we can tap into their skills and number one, like with the new logo and rebranding, but then also just all the incredible graphics that we have for our programs and just everything on the library. So there's lots of opportunities for that as well. I also, as part of our role, is involved with community engagement, so reaching outside of the library. And that is, it can be a number of things, just working with local communities and current and potential partnerships that we can create. I mean, that is also one of the reasons why I wanted to come to you all and even just to get you thinking, or maybe you already do have some ideas about things that you are already involved with outside the library, whether it is some sort of community organization, religious institution, just through your kids, families, friends, neighbors, any way that you think the library can do better at reaching people who either already come to the library and use it, but maybe don't know necessarily everything that we offer, or users that haven't been around for a while but probably could be enticed back, or people who just don't use the library at all, don't know about it, or even actively avoid it. It's kind of those layer groups are sort of the holy grail of people that I think all libraries want to reach. There's many ways that we could go about it, but I think you all are in a unique position of not being direct employees of the library, but still involved enough and aware enough to be able to be a great resource for reaching those places that we as staff, when we're here all the time, we may not necessarily have the same connections. And I mean, like myself, I don't live in Morgan Grove, so I really depend on people who have a much better local understanding to reach those people in those partnerships. So again, any ideas you have, I'd be happy to field them myself. You have my email address, but again, going through Pam would also work as well. So yeah, I think that's sort of a overview of some of the stuff that we've been doing. So I don't know if anyone has any questions or any suggestions or ideas that you have had in mind.
I don't have a question, but I'd like to offer up applause to you and the team for the rebranding, the logo, the website. They look great.
Great, yeah.
Big step forward.
Yeah, I think so. I think, yeah, it was a process, but as I always say this, right? But yeah, I think it went pretty smoothly. I mean, the rebranding it's again, really great to have in-house graphic designer who was able to put that together. And,
Top notch.
Yeah.
I don't think you can go outside and get anything better.
Right, yeah. Yeah, so we are in the process of updating everything that has the old logo on it. That'll be a longer process than we think, I think, but we're trying just piece by piece, along with other stuff that we're doing. But yeah, thank you, I think it turned out really well. Yeah, and the Library Market, the website, the company that did the website and calendar have been really great. They're very responsive to questions and concerns. They're a relatively small company, which is great. You call them or email them and they get right back to you. So that keeps things moving pretty smoothly and getting things fixed. So yeah, we're pretty excited about it.
And maybe the work with the census will offer up some new avenues for you as well.
I think so, yeah. I mean, and that's everywhere. I think most libraries are going to have something to do with that. So I hope it does encourage people to come to the library. That it also gives us an opportunity to work with the village and other places around the village to encourage people to come here. I think there's an event next week that for people being able to apply for census jobs. So that'll be a really great resource for sure.
Yeah, we have very much kind of taken the lead with a lot of the census stuff. We have meetings with the village. We do have another adult services librarian who is kind of spearheading that, though he's working with Chad and myself to, plan different things with the adult services staff as well, and, having census speakers out. But I think it will be a good opportunity to reach maybe some of those harder to reach populations, or some people who might not have thought of us in the past, if they know that they can come in here and either get assistance with the census or come here to, talk to someone from the census, that kind of thing, so.
What kind of things are you planning for internal staff engagement?
I mean, a couple ideas floating around. I think one thing I'd like to develop, and something that actually one staff member particularly has suggested, is a sort of idea lab, or basically a way that staff can submit ideas, and that's a broad term, but then basically anything that involves something internal, some idea for either a fun staff event or activity, or even something to do with internal procedures that could make things better. And that could be not necessarily just about their department. It could be something library-wide or something else that they've noticed. I think whatever that looks like, some way of encouraging and creating a culture of staff wanting to give their ideas whatever their position is and not feel intimidated, and be able to see those changes happen. Again, being a relatively small library compared to some of our neighbors, I find it really great that there is that sort of lack of bureaucracy and lack of levels you have to go through to get anything done. So I want to make that something that's kind of part of the culture for long-term employees, and then also new ones as well. And again, I think the new intranet will help a lot with that. It's just much more technologically accessible for people to be able to use things like that. I'm trying to think of what else. Ways that we can honor staff. Birthdays, number one, is one that I had in mind, whether that looks like kind of like a monthly party for the birthdays of that month, or some other sort of somewhat regular celebration that includes just more fun, things that include food, of course. Just things like that. And again, it hasn't really been, at least as long as I've been here, hasn't been part of the staff culture. And just based on what I've seen at other libraries, and many of them go to are very passionate about things like staff parties and things like that. But I think there is a sort of a happy middle that you can hit that honors staff birthdays, staff anniversaries, things like that, to kind of acknowledge people's work and the contributions that they've made to the library. So figuring out little ways that we can honor people like that, whether it is individually or sort of more in groups like that.
So like one of the things we did last year was the end of something. We had a staff cookout, those kinds of things where, potlucks. So the library's not putting a ton of money into it, but it is a way of bringing people all together. So this is, as Chad said, we haven't had kind of a formalized staff recognition program necessarily, or a way that not a a systematic way of kind of recognizing those people and celebrating how great the library staff can be, so.
And offering a way for staff to submit instances where they see other staff going above and beyond. There's different ways, different names for these at other libraries, like, I know one calls them gotchas. So they kind of caught a staff member doing something extraordinary or being really helpful or getting a compliment from a patron. So some way of documenting those things, whether it is from patrons or from other staff, I think is great. And then being able to figure out a way to share those regularly. And then the comment cards that patrons will fill out, there's a lot of great comments in there as well.
It might be a worthwhile thing to look into with the new website, to have the capability for staff or anybody working to be able to submit recognition.
Right.
For, like automatic kind of way. We did that at work and it was like super easy. It just would take a minute to fill it out. And it's automatic, and then it would go into like a pool, and there was an algorithm built to select randomly so that, it depends how you want to do it.
Right.
But it was a nice way to regularly recognize people where you sometimes can forget or let it slip off the calendar.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, when you're here every day doing similar stuff, it's easy to just kind of get stuck in the routine of things. So things like that really break you out of your routine and make you grateful for where you work. So I think that would be great.
So one of the things that we're also doing is I'm meeting with the marketing team as well pretty regularly, and one of the things that we'll be working on and that I've kind of charged them with doing, at least initially, is developing a marketing plan for the year so that we have a more, we've had somewhat of that just because planning the newsletter is you have to do that so far in advance, but we've never kind of sat down and said, okay, for the next year, what's everything that's coming up and what are ways that we can get out into the community or other events that we need to work on, publicizing and that kind of thing. So I think that will be really useful for us too.
Yeah, just having a dedicated department for marketing that can have that longer view of things, because it has up until recently been pretty just as needed, and you see something coming up quick and like, oh, I guess we need to do something about this. So a marketing plan I think will go a long way to help have a combination of some structure but then flexibility that comes with that.
Well, thank you very much for coming, and I think
Good luck to you.
It's really good to hear your perspective and what the role is. And speaking of that, there's some parents here from local schools, and so it's good to know that we have someone to partner with if ideas come up. So
Absolutely, yeah. I would love to hear any of them. Yeah, just people. I want to get people who can really benefit from the library who don't know about it. Again, that's always the goal of marketers. So any ideas that you have would be awesome. So thank you.
thank you for your time.
Thank you, Chad. See you tomorrow.
All right. So we stopped for public comments. There's no public, so.
You invited them all here.
I was like, oh, maybe somebody will show up.
Yeah.
All right. Well, committee appointments. Did I do that?
Yes, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I got to take it off for last month.
No, that's all right. I mean, I thought I did that, but
You did, sorry.
I could have made a mental note and then forgot to do it. So.
I thought I was going to lose my job.
No, everyone changes except for
My apologies, that was mine. Obviously, I carry this over, several.
Other than that, I don't have anything. So. Committee reports. Okay, committee reports. Finance.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the financial reports for November 2019. Thank you very much. Are there any questions? On the cash statement, let's start with that.
So the petty cash is going
No.
It will be after
Yes,
today.
it will be.
Yeah.
Yes, we have the resolutions for that and the 300 plus.
The resolution that you'll be passing later on combines the $300,000 from the sale of the building with what we're taking out of petty cash, so.
And it's going into special reserve. Okay. What's next? The income statement, any questions? We got all our money in, we don't get it all out, so that's good. And the expenses at 40/40 unemployment payment, is that what's left?
That was what we paid out. We don't normally budget for unemployment because we don't pay unemployment insurance.
Right.
Because it happens so infrequently for us, we pay unemployment if someone files for it.
Right.
So that was from the former IT manager, that was the last bit that we owed him, and so we stopped paying that. I think his payments ended in June or July.
Yeah, yes, okay.
Can I just ask how that works?
Sure, so, so if someone files for unemployment, what happens is we get a quarterly bill from the Illinois Department of Employment Security,
Okay.
and then we just pay them.
Okay.
So they pay the person who filed regularly, and then we just get a quarterly bill.
And so we pay that whole thing?
But we got a, I don't even know what they call it, like a waiver where we don't have to get unemployment insurance, I think back in 1983. So there's been, I think in the past 10 years, there's probably been 3 claims. So it just isn't really cost effective for us to pay the insurance since we don't frequently have someone.
So when that happens, it was due to a termination? I just want to understand that.
Yeah, so in this particular case, we let someone go.
Okay.
So, and I think one of the earlier ones was not even something that, it was a kind of confusing case. It was, we were not the full-time employer of this person, but we were the chargeable employer as far as the state of Illinois was concerned. So we've actually fought, those are the last 2 that I remember. We've actually fought both of those, and the IDES is very employee focused, or employee kind of, I don't want to say biased, but
Yeah.
so it's very difficult to win an unemployment claim.
So I guess I was just under the understanding that the state would pay part of that, but no, that's not the case.
I can go back and look at the bills, but I'm almost positive that we pay
Okay.
all of it.
Okay.
But I can
Just
double
curious.
check on that for you.
No,
let you know.
no.
Everything okay on that, the check register, there is a voided check 4001 to Pioneer Press for 65, and then you'll see underneath 4006. We issued the same check because it was printed wrong on the check. So. No more questions? Wow.
Okay, we can vote on the financial reports from November 2019.
Yes.
Monzo?
Yes.
Pelletier, yes. Puzo? Yes. Swanson?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
Gonzalez?
Facilities, right now, we are planning on doing our walkthrough in January. If we think Ed will be able to join.
Good.
Okay.
I think. You wanted to do it before the meeting? Is that when, the last I heard, I thought we hadn't yet scheduled it. I was gonna-
Right, no, we have not,
Okay,
we
I
have not
wasn't
yet
sure.
scheduled it, I mean, we can do what is preferable. We can do it before the meeting, meeting around 6. And we have done it after, it makes it a later night. So,
It requires some energy, I think, at
First,
or
or
you
you're
are
doing
doing
it
it first.
before? Okay,
That's the 9th of January?
correct.
So you want to have a special meeting on January 6th
Yes,
before the,
January 9th.
Nice.
I'm sorry.
At
At 6, yeah.
Alrighty. As far as I know, policy, nothing new to?
No, not yet.
Okay. All right, staff reports.
I'm sorry, back to policy, will we get an email on these?
Yeah, in fact, I'm hoping to schedule a policy committee meeting sometime in January.
Okay,
I don't know the exact date yet.
I was getting nervous when you mentioned that, but I missed something.
No.
Usually it'll be before that
Okay.
month's board meeting.
Yeah.
Because then the policies will be presented to us.
I'm working on a couple, I think as I mentioned in my written report, I'm working on a couple of bigger policies and some recommendations that I'd like to make to the board. And I'm planning on working them on while I'm on vacation. So depending on how much I get done
Sure.
in the next couple of weeks, we'll determine the date.
New policies? Or-
Yeah,
Oh,
do you want me to segue?
Go ahead,
into-
yeah.
So what I would like to do, there's a couple changes to the employee handbook that need to be made. We've got to update, our current drug use policy is, it's okay, but it does need to be tweaked with the legalization of cannabis. And so I want to get that done. And then I also want to, we've got some policies just that on the regular review schedule that need to be redone, or need to be reviewed at least, they may not need any changes. But the big policy that I will be recommending to the board at some point, or at least the policy committee initially, obviously, and obviously getting feedback from them. There are a significant number of, particularly Northern Illinois libraries, in our area that are offering paid parental leave policies. So I am researching that right now, and we'll hopefully be making a recommendation to the policy committee. So that's kind of the big one that I'm looking at right now. That is a completely new policy for us. So, as we look at who we're competing with for, staff, new librarians, that kind of thing, the age of that cohort, they're looking for those kinds of things. And like I said, it's, I don't have a list in front of me right now, but as I said, there is a fair number of, it seems kind of like it hit a critical mass, and now it seems like everyone's offering some level of that.
What is it currently, unpaid? Like you just get so many weeks, or is
So
it case to case that
we
you
do
talk about?
follow FMLA. So
Okay.
for example, if someone, now, and FMLA only basically guarantees your position for 12 weeks. It doesn't have to be paid or anything.
Mhm.
What we allow is that people, if they've got paid time off, either sick time or vacation time or a combination thereof, they can use it concurrently with FMLA. What we'll be proposing is some component of paid leave for parental, either, having a baby, adopting, surrogacy, or that kind of thing. So like I said, I'm looking at a number of policies in the area libraries and seeing if they compare, some are more generous than others. And so I'm still kind of figuring all that out, thinking about what would work best for us. But right now, like I said, people can do For FMLA, you have to work a minimum of 1,250 hours a year. So someone basically has to be a full-time employee in order to take advantage of that or be eligible for that. So I mean, there is some mechanism in place for people to have that kind of leave, but family and medical leave covers all kinds of things. You know, it includes parental leave if it's necessary, but this would be in addition to that.
I don't know if I'm jumping the gun with your, if anything additional to your staff report. Did you end up having the meeting with the product architecture?
Yes.
You did.
I met with them, let's see, I met with them Tuesday.
Who did you meet with?
I'm sorry?
Who did you meet with?
So I met once again with Product Architecture Plus Design, which was the architect that we had met with 3 years ago before we, when we first put the building up for sale, to get kind of the initial designs for the YS renovation, and they give us some preliminary pricing. A few things have changed since then, obviously. You know, we finally did sell the building. I've had the opportunity to talk to the bank just very, very informally about the potential of borrowing some money to give us you know, some money, $1 million or so to start or to do some things. So they came out again on Tuesday. We spoke for about 45 minutes to an hour or so, toured the building, talked about some of the priorities that we have, some of the things that we're not willing to, you know, we don't want to downsize the collection at all and different things like that. And then some of the challenges that we hadn't really discussed before, but, you know, 3 years down the line now and recognizing that, you know, we do have to do something with the YS staff space. You know, it would be great if we could do something with the awful 1950s bathrooms that are for the staff downstairs, that kind of thing. So, you know, is there a way to utilize all the storage area space that I know some of you probably haven't seen, but we'll see in January, that right now is just, it's storage. And, you know, it's a pretty large space. I mean, is there ways that we can take advantage of the space that we have? So, so we kind of expanded the scope of what we wanted to do a little bit. So what they're gonna do right now is they're gonna send me a proposal. And then if that's acceptable, this is an architect that has done a number of libraries, so they kind of understand how everything works, you know, the things that libraries do and that sort of thing. The staff really likes their design aesthetic as well. And they've done a number of libraries where they're either smaller renovations or they're smaller libraries, and so they're really good at kind of utilizing all the space there. They've also done some bigger libraries as well. But so I thought I would wait to see about their, you know, their proposal, and then, you know, if we feel like we need to call in other architects. But this is not one of those things that we need to go out for bid for. We have a previous relationship with them, so if you know, their pricing and their you know, their qualifications meet what we're looking for, then we can move forward with that. But their suggestion is that, you know, they would give me the proposal, and then they suggested having a planning meeting. I was the only one that met with them this time, which was fine because it was kind of preliminary. But obviously then they would come and they would talk to relevant staff, assuming we move forward with them. We're tentatively planning on possibly having them come out and talk to the board in February.
Okay.
So, but obviously that can change if you know, we need to meet with them sooner or whatever. They said they could come in January if possible, but I don't know what we would have in place by then, so.
Okay.
So their proposal is based on whose input?
Right now, what the proposal, I don't have the proposal yet, but typically what they'll propose more is as kind of a general timeline. It's like they're not giving me necessarily pricing at this point. It's gonna be like, here's the steps that we're required. Yeah, no, they're not giving me any pricing. There's no planning right now. I mean, that's why as we talked, we kind of decided that we didn't really need to have more of a planning thing because, like I said, Courtney wasn't there, you know, she had a department meeting, that kind of thing. So this was just to get the ball rolling, and they're going to make some suggestions about how we can move forward. And then, you know, give me what their costs would be related to, you know, design, renderings, those kinds of things. So those things I will get costs for, but you know, actual costs for renovating anything we won't have yet until we've gone through our planning process.
Right.
When do you have a time when you'd like to start this?
Probably the fall.
Okay.
Yeah, would be, because we're not going to, because depending on how we move forward, We don't want it to impact summer reading.
Right.
So
Okay.
it would be, our goal would be to do it after that. Some of it will depend on what they suggest, what things cost, what kind of monies the board may think we want to borrow, how long that process may take. Like I said, I have spoke just very informally to the bank a couple times who have indicated that based on our history and our relationship with them and everything, that they don't see any problem should we decide to borrow, say like $500,000 to $750,000 to get us to $1 million, $1.2 million to work with. It seems like a lot of money, but it's not. And, you know, our fear, as always with this building, is that once we start getting into, like, you know, redoing the ceiling or redoing any of the ventilation, that it will be exciting, I guess. So, you know, I wanna get us in a position that we can make some substantive changes for the community. It is one thing, as I've mentioned a number of times, that we have heard after the renovation was completed on the first floor and the mezzanine level, is that it was unfortunate we weren't able to make some changes down here. So we'd like to try to attempt to do those, you know, better serve the community with the recognition that, you know, this is a building we're going to have. So how do we best utilize it going forward and position ourselves for the future and make sure that's well taken care of as much as we can.
Yeah.
So.
I know it'd be really essential to have Courtney in the
Yeah.
planning process.
Yeah.
You know, she has some really,
Absolutely.
she has some great ideas and everything. And then then think about like in January, I don't know if you want to wait until we have the planning meeting with the architects, but maybe just if you could point out to, especially Tamara and Nick, like just, you know, some of the layout, you know, that you've kind of pointed out to us in the past of some of your ideas.
Yeah.
I'm a visual person, so that kind of helps, just kind of get an idea, so.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, that was probably the bigger things,
The
yeah.
bigger, yeah. Any other questions for Pam?
I'm curious if the back, we'll find out again in January, is cleaner and less chaotic with Edmund running the show.
If the back,
You know, like
Or
that
the
back
what?
section down here, it was
His
like such a
office.
mess, the office, yeah.
Oh,
There's no stuff everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
there's still stuff everywhere. Right now, there is a lot of stuff everywhere. We have a lot of dead technology that we're waiting to get out of here. That's something that OSG will do as part of our contract. So that just hasn't been done yet. So once that's gone, that will help. We also, so the Carroll Stream Public Library, a library that I worked at for 18 years, but anyway, they are in the middle of almost a renovation. They're doing a renovation right now. There should be complete in April. But we're getting rid of some really, really nice, when I was there, we did a renovation in 2010 and 11, but they were getting rid of some tables and chairs that they gave us. And so it will allow us to get rid of some really old stuff that we have. And, you know, this is all in great. Yeah, so I had to pick it up. So I was driving a tire van the other day, last Thursday and Friday. Yeah, I was dressed down in my jeans and I was moving furniture, other duties as assigned. So we have some furniture, so there's a lot of chairs in there that the maintenance staff is shampooing. There's some upholstered seats, so they're shampooing those. And then in my office, we've got some of the tables broken down. So we're gonna utilize some of that furniture in the quiet study room, because right now the quiet study room furniture is all kind of hodgepodge, some old stuff that we just threw in there so people have places to sit. But this will be really nice. Everything will match. It's really nice furniture. And then we've got some, like in the activity room for adults, we've got some ancient plastic chairs that are starting to crack and break, and so we're gonna put some of the chairs that we got in there. So right now, that's all still in the back, so if you walk in there, it looks very much like a disaster. Yeah. I hope maybe by the time we have our walkthrough that some of that might be gone, but the chairs maybe, but the technology, I'm not sure. It'll just depend on when we can get that scheduled. But, you know, the problem with because that space can't really be used for a lot of other things, like staff can use it, it becomes, kind of a dumping ground a little bit, which is, but one of the things that we do want to do, at least in the interim, you know, as Chad had mentioned, is that there isn't really the marketing and engagement department doesn't have a shared space.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the things that we want to do is once we clear out the technology graveyard, as I call it, there's some shelving that we're gonna remove some of that and at least give them like, you know, a little meeting space so they can have their regular meetings there, because right now they're doing it in the study room or something like that, so we're taking away space that the public could be using, so we're gonna create a space that they can use down there. The problem using that space the problem with that space is code, even when, I'm gonna call them Tiffany and Dan because those are the two primary people at Product Architecture Plus Design, which is a really hard name to say, I think. So when Tiffany and Dan were here, Dan, he does more of the mechanical stuff, and we were walking back there, and you know, I said, we were talking about the space that is back there, and right away, you know, I said, we've gotten different answers about whether or not we could use this space, particularly for public. And he says, oh yeah, he goes, probably because of exits. So, you know, you have to be a certain number of feet away from exits or something. So obviously that's one of the things we want them to look at as well is, you know, how much of that space could be potentially public. I don't know with the renovations if, because of code, how much we could use it even for staff. So, because even for staff spaces there, you know, there's code that have to be followed as well. And there's probably some percentages, I know there is like with ADA, if you, however, if they look at the percentage of the building that you're renovating, and if it goes over a certain percentage, then you have to follow all the ADA guidelines. So, yeah, so some of that's just gonna be a percentage. So they might look at it and say, oh, it's only the storage area and it's not, you know, it's not the rest of the building, or, you know, it's the storage area, but it's, you know, that's a third of this level. So it all depends on how it's looked at. Yeah. But so, you know, you may want to see it as a mess, which it probably still is a little bit, but hopefully not too bad.
The countertops in the restrooms look fabulous.
That makes such a difference.
Wow.
It's like, yeah. So the other thing that kind of happened, we're not exactly sure when this happened, and we don't know if it's a result of the work done, if it just kind of took some time. So in the men's room, when you first walk in, it's almost like it's tile, and the tile is not broken or anything, but the flooring underneath, the subflooring, seems to be, well, it crackles when you walk on it now, and it kind of, there's a little bit of a give. So we're monitoring that, and we may get quotes on replacing the tile, at least in the men's room.
Sure, it's nothing big.
I'm sure it's nothing big.
Nothing unexpected will happen.
Yeah. So we're watching that, but the countertops, just the countertops alone, I think made a huge difference in both of the bathrooms. And then I think I sent the picture of the bathroom and kitchen.
It looks so nice.
I had staff go, my kitchen at home doesn't.
Right. It's fancy.
Space.
Yeah. They did a nice job. It was a company that Ed had worked with and knew, and so that was great that he was able to reach out to them. And it was cheaper than I thought.
People are gonna fight with like, no, I have the snacks, it's okay, I'll take care of it, you know.
And when I first started, we had originally, so there's a refrigerator, and the refrigerator is stainless steel, and there's a small dishwasher in there, which staff had asked for because, you know, to clean pitchers and coffee urns, and another thing that we did, we had an old dishwasher in the old kitchen, which leaked everywhere, but all of the toys, we would like to, Courtney has been asking for a dishwasher, so we could run the toys through a dishwasher, so they're more sanitary. And so that's nice, but we had originally picked out, because it's a smaller dishwasher, so our choices were limited, but there was a stainless steel one, and that was and originally that was cheaper, and then we had problems with that, and so then they put the white one in, and the refrigerator is stainless steel, and I was like, oh, I'm sure it's stainless steel, and I had to tell myself, okay, it's not your kitchen, it's totally fine, but it looks fine, and it's every staff person that's gone in there, it's been great, and you know, even getting rid of those awful accordion doors and putting in regular doors, we're able to lock that now, and it's securely locked, and because we were like, do we have to lock the cabinets and different things, because if we store things in there, but it's been a great, yeah, it's been nice, and we changed some electric, so we're not blowing out the fuse every time we have 2 coffee pots on at the same time, so.
Sure.
Yeah. Long overdue, so I'm glad it was done.
Yeah. I'm sure all the parents with all the young kids will
Appreciate
the toys being sanitized,
Yeah.
so. Any other questions, comments? I've been checking my All right. Nothing from corporate counsel. Okay. So unfinished business.
Thanks, Jerome.
The per capita grant, to the board requirements.
I've only heard from Lima about being,
Were we supposed to tell you?
Oh,
if you did, that's fine, I just, I did not tell you.
I read the email and it didn't say that we're
Oh,
supposed to.
did it?
No.
I know, there weren't implicit instructions.
Sorry.
Just like, let me know.
No, that's fine. The only reason I'm asking is because one of the questions is they want to know which ones
Oh, I
people
can
can
tell you
use.
that.
so-
I can tell you too.
I can tell you, I think 21st century libraries for 21st century libraries. Librarians.
For 21st century libraries.
And what Chad said today was almost everything that was in that website.
Awesome.
I mean,
Yeah,
things
look at
that he was gonna do, and that's exactly what this says. You know, you changing the role, so you made this new thing, new role, the skills, the personal qualifications, what he plans to do, you know, and another thing, they never said this in the webinar, but I just have to say, this is the way I interpret it, for someone to do this, there has to be a young person.
It definitely helps.
Because they're more, the technology is, you know, something that probably grown up with, or we haven't, I have, you know, so.
Yeah, I think it'll be a great
It was a
move
good,
to
what
have.
I'm trying to say, it was a good choice.
Okay, so Carlotta did the 21st century librarians for 21st.
I did the keeping patrons safe, our responsibilities during high-risk situations.
I did that one too.
And Tamara. You did that one?
All three of you did that
No,
one?
you and Tamara.
I did.
It was good once the guy started,
seven dogs.
stopped coughing and talking about his dogs.
Because he has 7 dogs, because 8, what is it? No, 8 dogs, so 7's too little and 9 is too much. And I was like, and he was like calming his head.
Oh my gosh.
Did it have a year on that webinar?
I did.
Some of them I looked and see when.
Some of them were a little older and stuff.
Yeah.
There was a-
I mean, he knew his stuff, but it was good.
Well, no, he did, and towards
He
the end, I was
covered
like,
a wide-
okay, well, that's good
Yeah.
to know, but yeah, okay.
He covered a wide range of topics.
He
but
did.
It was, I mean, he showed his dogs all lined up.
I was like, look, this is where I'm sitting, see my dogs?
Here are my dogs.
Okay.
I did the space planning without the space, reimagining your existing library.
That's what I did.
Did you find it like, duh, this is all, like,
You know, but it was good. It sounds like as he's going through it, like, oh yeah, okay, well, that makes sense. But if I had to.
If you had to write it, you wouldn't be able to write it. Okay, so there's that.
And then we got this from Glenview, and they did a big they're planning to start on their renovation.
Glenview needs another renovation?
Or Glen Cove.
Glenview, yeah.
They have that monster library.
They're doing an innovation center and a
Oh.
marketplace.
Okay. They're not adding any space, they're just, I think that is,
Redesign.
it's kind of some
It's-
internal, I mean,
that's like what they said about knowing your space.
And what- yeah.
And the capabilities and who's your client. And I would never have even thought of a place like where you learn new skills, the library.
Oh, yeah,
teaching you like
it's a very
3D
big,
printer, laser cutter.
it's a very big thing. I mean, it's, we would love to have that, but we just don't have the space.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very common. I mean,
Yeah,
there are
and when you
libraries that are giving up shelving
Wow.
space
For
and
that.
really weeding their collections aggressively to create more seating space, more
Yes.
makerspace areas. those
But I
kinds of
really
things.
don't like walking into libraries and then going,
Where are the books?
where are the books?
Right.
You know, like you're walking through this like large, like, and you're like, I don't, you know, I like a little bit of a cozy, you know, I'm like,
Yeah.
well, where are the books?
There's definitely a balance. I mean, I think that, they call it kind of right-sizing your collection. And there is a balance. I mean, there's certainly things that we can read, and we are looking at that because, our circ is fairly stable. It's kind of goes up and down just a little bit. So we're fortunate, and I think that, being in the consortium has helped us keep our circ numbers up a little. But our gate counts are up. And they have been up, and they will continue to go up because people are using us in different ways. They're using us for space, using us for Wi-Fi, they're using us to have, they own a business, then they work out of their home and they need places to meet clients, those kinds of things. So, you know, it is very much a balancing act of, you know, maintaining a viable collection for your community, but then also having some of those other amenities, which, you know, is you know, we go to these other libraries and think, oh my God, look at all the space, you can have meeting rooms, then you can have a big collection, you can have all these different things, so there's very much a balancing
But
act.
I like the fact that we're a little library that has this attitude of positivity. We can do it still. So like, okay, Glenview's doing their marketplace, but we're doing our library of things.
Yeah.
So, you know, this was unexpected. I was like,
Yeah.
what the heck?
Yeah, it's, that'll be different, so we're.
How that.
Yeah, there are a number of libraries that have that as well, so, but it's, and we already do circulate some things, people, you know, hotspots and Roku's and all of those, you know, STEM kits out of the services department and different things like that. But we're looking to add you know, like a microscope, and there's a whole list of things that we want to start with initially and see how that goes. And so we're creating some storage space and talking about how we're cataloging those things and marketing them. Yeah, I think it's, you know, having been at libraries that have a very substantial budget and then at libraries where you have to pay much closer attention to what you're spending and stuff, is that it's easy to be a good library if you have a lot of money. You know, it's, you know, I mean, not that, I think the staff and everyone is to be commended, you know, we do a lot with what we have, we really, really do, and it would be nice to have a little more, but that's always the case, you know, but I think that one of the things that it shows, smaller libraries in particular sometimes, is the creativity of people and the willingness to, you know, think outside the box, so to speak, and that kind of thing. Really to provide services to the community. Okay.
And then, Nick and Eric, right?
Yeah, I didn't get a chance.
Didn't get that.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
That was on the email, right?
Pardon?
That was on the email.
I did send out an email with the list on that, yeah, so. And there's still time, the per capita grant isn't due until January 15th. So I will probably be working on it a little bit next week while I'm on vacation, but I pull it together, I've got most of my notes done and stuff. So basically, one of the things that the per capita grant is trying to do when they do this every year, you know, they have the trustees review certain, either the stand, you know, chapters in the standards or something in the trustee facts file, is to keep trustees engaged and involved in understanding the business of the library. So you guys are a great board, so but there are boards that don't pay as much attention to some of those things. So, you know, it's the state's way of saying, you know, this is an important role that you play, and I want to make sure that people are engaged. So I think that we're doing that. So, okay. So what will happen once I complete that? Because the per capita grant is due after our meeting, I will probably bring the completed grant to you guys so you can review it before I actually hit the button to send it in, because it's all done. So.
Did you do it, Eric, or not yet?
I'm trying to full-time evaluate performance.
Okay, I'll look, because I've got this, so I can figure it out. Yep. Thank you.
Scheduled facility walkthrough, we did that. Evaluation, we will do that. All right, so I will make a motion to approve resolution number 2019-06. Resolution authorizing transfer of funds from the general library fund 10 to special reserve fund 20 in the amount of, this is such a big number, I always get tripped up. $307,107.38. Did I say it right? Okay.
38 cents. Don't
38
spend it all
cents.
at
Yeah, don't
once.
forget the 38
And
cents.
buy a gumball. Have 16 cents.
Sorry, Mace was going to take me a minute.
And as I mentioned in when we were talking about finance, this does include both the monies from the sale of the building and the petty cash. The auditors were here yesterday doing the preliminary field work, and I did double check that I didn't have to document that in some other way, and he said that was
Or
fine.
do two separate
Yeah, he said
applications.
one was fine, because it's all going into the special reserve. serve. And really, as far as the auditors are concerned, it's all coming out of one fund, the general fund, and going into the special reserve. It's going from a 10 fund to a 20 fund. So,
Right.
yeah.
Did anyone second?
No one seconded.
I'll second. Thank you. Okay, and then you explained it already?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay. No, perfect, I just had it right. Okay, so then we can vote on it. Monzo?
Yes.
Lettieri, yes. Kuzo? Yes. Swanson?
Yes.
Jost?
Yes.
Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mason?
Yes. Next, I will make a motion to approve resolution number 2019-07, resolution honoring the service of Blanche Miyamoto.
Luann, can you come over here?
You have to get a camera and everything.
Yep. That's just for your records.
Yeah.
So,
We'll sign it.
Emily is going to read the resolution that we're passing in honor of you.
Oh,
So,
okay.
Resolution number 2019-07, resolution honoring the service of Blanche Miyamoto. Whereas Blanche Miyamoto was employed continuously by the Morton Grove Public Library from August 28, 1995 until December 31st, 2019, in a variety of positions and retired as the administrative assistant to the executive director. And whereas Blanche Miyamoto admirably served the citizens of the Village of Morton Grove and the staff and board of the Morton Grove Public Library with her full commitment to her responsibilities, service, and dedication to the best interests of the library. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Morton Grove Public Library hereby recognizes that the service of Blanche Miyamoto was an asset to the Village of Morton Grove and the Morton Grove Public Library, and expresses gratitude and sincere appreciation for her 24 years and 4 months of service. Be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be presented to Blanche Miyamoto as a dedicated and faithful Morton Grove Public Library employee with our sincere appreciation.
Thank you.
I'm going to try tomorrow, I'm sure.
Well, we should do the ayes and nays, and then I will officially sign.
Okay. Did anyone second that?
I second.
Thank you. Okay, Lettieri, yes. Kuzo?
Yes.
Swanson?
Yes.
Jost?
Yes.
Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mason?
Yes.
Monzo?
Yes.
Because you're going to take, we have a special one that you can take home.
All that, yeah, was that it?
That one's yours. Yeah.
We're in it.
Well, we got the nice.
It's with the new logo and everything.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so now, thanks, Blanche.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
All right. Chad Camello, we already did that. Communications, well, there is this flyer that I hope everyone saw. There's a little, it's really cute. Part of
Yeah,
this.
Karina did this, so,
It's so pretty.
Blanche is from Hawaii, so.
Yeah.
We drink their Hawaiian tea. So it's tomorrow at 12:30, the board can make it. I know I've heard from a couple people. It is in the Baxter Room.
Okay.
I'm telling you, the Baxter Room, so, yeah, it doesn't say that.
Great.
So.
Okay. The holiday gift guides are really cool.
Yeah, I love those.
And this one actually, like, it was on the bottom of my envelopes, I didn't even see it until tonight, until like Joanne pulled hers out, and I'm like, wait, this is nice. So, very cool, they did a really good job. Public comments, non-agenda items, they're still not public. All right, so I'll make a motion to go into executive session for the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body as allowed per 5 ILCS 120-2C1.
Second.
Kuzo? Yes. Swanson?
Yes.
Jost?
Yes.
Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mason?
Yes.
Lettieri.
are back in open session. Roll call. We have roll call. So, I did turn it off, yes. So, you know, we've talked a lot last month and this month. And I apologize, I did not, I compiled everybody's comments and everything like that, and I was gonna do a copy, and then it was a long day, and I don't have a physical copy, but I will get you one. I mean, overall, we applaud and appreciate your commitment to the library, the effort you put in to working with us, with the staff. You're a real champion for the staff. I mean, you are a great advocate for the library, and you're a great representative for the library. We really do appreciate your hard work. So a couple that I'll just read real quick, but that you are easy to work with, communicate with, and appreciate the effort and ease in which she communicates with the board. Director's energy and enthusiasm for our library is evident. She works tirelessly to update our systems, grounds, staff, and programs. So a couple of our ideas that we just wanted to share with you, and I'll put this on the thing too, but you're welcome to take notes too. So one of the things that you gave us was your 2020 goals, which is really helpful to read. So we were hoping that there could be a more regular and consistent, it doesn't have to be a quarterly review, but just it's helpful to have that reference. So maybe
So throughout the year, what I'm doing towards working towards those goals.
Right. So even if it's in your report, you know, like this is what I've done, this is the progress, you know, working towards the goals, that would be, because it was great to read that perspective from you. So I think that would, I think we all were in agreement that would be really great.
Okay.
So then I'll get you a copy of this. So we would like to offer you the raise of $106,000 for 2020.
Thank you.
So you're welcome to respond?
No, that's fine. I appreciate it. I love working here. You guys are a great board. I enjoyed working with you and for you. And as I have mentioned to Emily a number of times, and to all of you, I think at various times too, the support of me and of the staff, and the appreciation and recognition of their expertise and my expertise is really appreciated. So thank you. So yeah, but I would love to do that. And if there's anything else that you feel I need to improve upon, or would like to see me do, please let me know.
Okay. So we had a couple other notes, but I mean, overall, I'm positive. So
That's good.
I
was hopeful when you talked like into next year. That didn't mean that you were going to be saying goodbye to me tonight. So.
No. Oh God, did you think that? That would be awful.
I think everyone does. I mean, it doesn't. I tell my staff this too, and it's like everyone just hates this whole process. It's not bad. I don't hate it, but staff, they always get. Even though they know they're doing a good job, intellectually up here, it's like I think everyone just gets that nervous.
Yeah, of course. So I'm hoping that I'm going to word this right. So I would like to make a motion to award the salary of $106,000 to Pamela Leffler for the 2020 fiscal year. Eric, you were nodding, is that all right? Okay, all right.
I'll second.
Mason Jim? Yes. Monzo?
Yes.
Pelletier, yes. Puzo?
Yes.
Swanson?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
Gonzalez?
Yes.
All right. It is now 8:36, and the meeting is adjourned. Happy holidays, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.